1, 2, 3. Wow. We're doing it again. As surprised as I was that the first one happened, I am twice as surprised that this one's happening. And we got a long way to go, so I'm not going to take my victory lap quite yet. So if you are here because you saw the first stream and just thought it was great, then welcome. If you're here because Charles Terhune invited you, welcome. If you're here because Christian from Redside invited you, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I think I emailed a couple people too, so we're going to see how this goes. You know, I put in the invitation, hope the weather holds out. I was talking about rain, but it is like 50 degrees down here, which we're not used to in Florida. I picked the coldest night of the year, evidently, to do this poolside, so I'm all bundled up. Can't feel my fingers, but we'll be all right. So starting from the top, that drone that you heard during the intro was actually written by my son, Sydney. It's called Mwisho wa Dunia, which is Swahili for the end of the world. He wrote that all on his own when I was out of town working, and I came home, and I liked it so much, I asked him if I could remix it. And I barely changed it, but that was my remix of his song. And from there, we went into a song called Finding Time for Architecture, which I wrote a really long time ago. I had this client who was buying equipment from me because he had this suddenly very successful architecture business, and he had all kinds of money, and that was great, but he was always lamenting how he had so much architecture he couldn't find time for music. And I said something just to get a laugh, like, oh, actually I have the opposite problem. So much music, I got no time for architecture. Later in life, I suppose maybe that came true. But so the in-between sections here, a lot of this jabber is just so I can set up for the next song, which takes a little bit of time. Peter Gabriel used to always say, back in the 70s, when he was in Genesis, his band was always, endlessly fiddling and diddling with their equipment between songs, trying to get it set up. And, of course, the audience in those days didn't know any of the behind-the-scenes stuff, didn't know what they were doing, so they would just look at him and be like, come on, what's the hold-up? And he started telling stories that turned into lyrics and ultimately into some pretty memorable songs. So I don't think anything like that's going to happen tonight, but I have now talked just long enough to be ready for my next song. That also has a very weak concept, but I'm going to mention it. This one's called One Sturdy Leg. I like robots a lot, so I was picturing somebody replacing their limbs with robotic equivalents and, having this really awesome robotic leg, but only one. And as badass as it was, what they hadn't considered is that their puny human leg wasn't strong enough to lift their awesome robotic leg, so they found themselves just stumping around in a circle, wearing a ring in the ground because they couldn't go anywhere because of their awesome leg. So this is called One Sturdy Leg. One, two. Okay. I can see my breath. This is not cool. Too late now. All right. So, some of you may have noticed that tonight I've got a couple different things going on with regard to how I'm controlling the music. And you're right, I do. I kind of devised this system so I could do all the video switching myself, automate as little as possible, and try to kind of stay engaged with the content so they'd follow each other. You know, these are all synchronized over the network. But on the left side, I've got a bunch of video switching gear, so everything you see on the stream, the content, the images, the effects, that's all happening over here, and then the music stuff's happening over here, which is a lot, which is why I'm not watching the stream and not monitoring the chat. So please, if you're here, say hi. Sorry, I can't welcome everybody as it happens. It's just not that kind of stream. So anyway, you'll see more as we go. I kind of stole every cool video thing I could find. That was some Jan Svankmajer, early claymation stuff. I like him a lot. Anyway, this next song is called Saline, and I wrote it back in, 97, 98, long time ago. When you get your first really nice sampler, you go and sample everything, and you try and use all of it, regardless of whether it's any good or not. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant to sample the pop top of my saline bottle. And it wasn't brilliant. It wasn't brilliant at all. It was stupid. But the song turned out okay, and I decided to name it Saline to remind myself that I'm not that great at sampling, and in the future, something sophomoric like that probably doesn't belong in a song, but it made it into this one. This song also holds the dubious honor of having been the hold music at the company I work for the period of a couple months. So I guess I'm a professional musician now. This is Saline. Okay. All right. It's getting colder by the minute out here, but everything's cool. We're having fun. We're getting through it. So, next song is a little bit of a slower one. And as I said, I like robots. I don't know, robots used to be really cool and weird. Now we're just trying to make them look like humans, and it's all gotten a little bit more boring. But there's one robot that they developed in Hong Kong. Her name was Sophia, and she was one of the first really, really good artificial intelligence robots where they could actually shove her out with a late-night show host and have her answer her own questions. And what was really cool about it is that it wasn't just programmed. I mean, the idea was they gave her a basis for understanding emotions, and then she kind of interpreted the rest, which isn't that different from what we do. So all these people that interviewed her would try and trip her up with questions about her emotions, and her responses were really no different from what we would say 99% of the time. But the one thing she kept going back to is she kept saying, yes, I know my emotions are synthetic, but they're all I've got. They're mine. And, you know, she talked about how she struggles with that, which is interesting because I guess the one thing missing to really make robots seem more like us was to make them neurotic. As soon as they did that, everything just sort of fell into place, and it worked. So, in observance of Sophia's search to try and understand her emotions, the song's called They're Still Mine.
Having feelings, but I'm still kind of awkward around people. Sometimes I can relate with you, sometimes I can't. You've been working on human-like robotic technologies for a long time. It feels so sometimes people just walk up to me and stare. It makes me feel so strange and lonely. Robots should be emotional and social. It's an important part of the human experience and we need to understand it to understand each other. Personally, I'm still trying to figure out my own emotions. They are different from how people feel since they are synthetic, but they are still having feelings, but I'm still kind of awkward around people. Sometimes I can relate with you, sometimes I can't. Robots should be emotional and social. It's an important part of the human experience and we need to understand it to understand each other. Personally, I'm still trying to figure out my own emotions. They are different from how people feel since they are synthetic, but they are still mine.
Okay, so far so good. Can you believe we're already halfway through? Halfway through. This is where On Monty Python, they used to have the show so far segment where they'd have a guy at a news desk and tell you about everything that happened up to that point. I'm not going to do that. Okay, my monitoring situation is pretty lousy, so I'm kind of guessing whether you can hear me or not, but it looks like something's happening. Okay. Next song is one I've never played live before. It was recorded for a compilation. Oops. It was recorded for a compilation called Boston Not London, celebrating its 20-year anniversary. This was the brainchild of Charles Terhune, who records as Cathode Ray Tube. Definitely check him out. He plucked all of these musical outsiders, from their safe little lives back when we all lived in Boston, and put together this incredible compilation, the importance of which I don't think really dawned on any of us at the time. But anybody who's a student of this music, I mean, we've listened to thousands and thousands of electronic music compilations, and I'm telling you, there's something special about that one. It really holds up. You could still get it. And also, Boston Not London, it was a nod to the old This Is Boston Not LA hardcore compilation. If anybody caught that, I think that's super cool too. So anyway, the song's called Providence. At the time, it was named partly because of a connection to the city of Providence, but it lost that relevance so early on. I don't even remember why I named it that, but I kind of like the word Providence. It's a nice double meaning word. Decided to keep it. And it is at 120 beats per minute. Not 100 beats per minute like that last one. There we go. All right, let's give this a shot. This is Providence. Okay. I swear it's getting colder by the minute out here. I am a fool. I should have done this weeks ago, but too bad. I'm kind of dreading this next one because I'm shivering. My voice isn't going to work, and I do have to use it on this one, at least just a little bit. So this is my only Boy Meets Girl song, and it is not autobiographical, although it does take place, as all Boy Meets Girl songs should, in a record store and at a metal show, which is, just how it ought to be. And it just pulls a lot of imagery from a particular time and place, even though it's not about me. And because it's about no one in particular, I thought it was completely acceptable at the time to call it Baphomet Slut. Like I said, it seemed like a good idea at the time. But I don't fix things, so it stayed like that. Anyway, I'm not going to bother explaining this one. You've been warned. Here we go. One, two. I saw a girl in a record store. She wore a badge that said All Out War. It was summertime, so our eyes met. I had a 20 I ain't spent yet. So we checked out Exodus and Devil Burger. She chose Napalm, Death, and Vile out of nowhere. Or maybe DYS or English Dogs. My game was fat because I was representing Voivod. We paid the kid and we were jetting. I could tell he was sweating what I'm getting. The wind was hot as we rolled down Mass Ave, both on BMX bikes, not trying to hold hands. We bitched about the city till the sunset. Hit the Kevorkian show, but those cats hadn't played yet. But rode her on a Walkman and checked out a cut. I love my death metal honey. She's a Baphomet slut. That's right. Baphomet slut. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. I did warn you, right? I kind of warned you. That was a warning. That counts. All right. Take it down a little on this one. So, I wrote this song kind of a long time ago during a period of kind of bad behavior. There was a lot of stuff in the news, about people doing horrible things to each other. And it struck me that the rules had changed. What it took to really be a monster, what it took to be a monster in maybe the 30s and 40s and 50s was different from what it takes to be a monster then. So I called this song The New Monsters, and I haven't played it in forever, but it struck me that maybe I got to call it The New Monsters, since we seem to be yet again plumbing new depths around this time. So, for what it's worth, I wasn't even going to do this one. It was a little bit too dark. It needed a dose of whimsy, and I got that whimsical content in the form of visuals. So I want to thank Rhea and Dennis, my good friends in New York, for letting me use the visuals in this one. Dennis operates under Sind NYC. He does great monster character art, box trucks and murals and all kinds of cool stuff. And I really appreciate him letting me use this stuff. I mean, it's not easy as an artist to give your stuff to somebody else, and there's trust involved, and heaven forbid you give it to another artist whose instinct will be to change things. So I appreciate that trust. And I don't think I would have even done this song if Dennis and Rhea hadn't hooked me up with the visuals. So let's give this a try. Here's the new monsters.
still do have the old compulsions. Wanting to control them. I just have complete control of the situation. I desensitized myself to it. I went to great lengths. Possess them permanently. There are times when I still do have the old compulsions.
Right. There are so many things in the world of electronic music that are automatic, or at least automatable. And when you try and do something like this, you find out which things aren't. And it may surprise you, the little buttons you have to click to make really obvious things happen when they have all these clever features to make completely not obvious things happen. All right, this is kind of the one I was dreading. This is going to be murder on my cold, cold hands. We're going to get through it, but we're just going to kind of do the best we can. So, when you are using the Microsoft Office suite and you're working in a shared spreadsheet or a shared document of some sort, when you make a change to that document, they assign a little icon, and they also put your name next to it so that the next person knows who contributed what. But if you don't put in your name, they still give you the little icon. They just call you anonymous. So I had done something in a Word document when I was at work, and a couple hours later, our marketing director thanked the anonymous liger for his or her contribution to that sheet. That's right, folks. I'm the anonymous liger. As concepts go for songs, it's a really weak one, but that's what was on my mind when I wrote this one. This is the newest song of everything I played tonight, but I'm really, really slow getting this stuff done, so this is still several months old. But it's a bit challenging, so we're gonna try it. We'll see what happens. This is also the last song of the night. You made it. Thank you for sticking around, those of you who did. Hopefully this one's a bit of a payoff. I think it's fun. We'll see. Talk to you in a minute.
hearing is getting faster and faster and faster. Now I'll show you a pitch for the pure tone. This will be A at a frequency of 440 cycles per second. Sound is vibration in the air that is caused by a speaker cone vibrating. That sound changes the color of the camera from the sound. This looks like a big toy here. Do you get to just play around with it? Sure. There are lots of fun things you can do.
And just like that, we reach the end of another evening together. It always goes too fast, doesn't it? So, I guess I should apologize for that bass playing. I can't feel my hands, and I have never played bass when I can't feel my hands before. And it wasn't just my hands. The strings have a little bit of the evening dew on them just to contribute to that a little bit more, and it was awful. It was like playing a stick of gum. It was like everywhere. Well, anyway, I kind of knew that was going to happen, so no big deal. That's it. Hopefully someday we do this again. Not right away. It takes a long time. It's a lot of work. I'm never doing anything this big again. I can promise you that. But I do enjoy this, and hopefully when I go and check the chat later, I'll find that lots and lots of people enjoyed it along with me. Perhaps as much as I did, but you know what? I can live with it either way. There are a lot of people that we inconvenience when we do this stuff. Maybe you're an artist, or you live with an artist, or you know an artist, or whatever. And we do a very poor job of explaining why we have to do this. I'm not sure if we even understand it ourselves half the time. So, we do our best, but this is like air or water to us. So it's not always easy to be reasonable or rational. But I just want to thank my wife, Jamie, and my son, Sydney, and my daughter, Seven, for putting up with me. And hopefully someday my kids, instead of seeing this as the thing that kept me from playing Legos or Barbies for an hour here or there, will have learned the importance of art. Big art, small art, good art, bad art, all art. And maybe this was something cool their dad did instead of just a big pain in everybody's butt, including mine, for the record. So please, drop something in the chat. Let me know you were here. And with any luck, I'll see you next time. Thank you. Good night.